Hi everyone, this is Veronica. Today our topic of discussion is the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2019. So we'll discuss about this code in detail, like what are the new provisions which are added in this code. So now you can connect with me for video updates and queries on Instagram and Facebook because I feel together we can make a difference. Now let me tell you about Study IQ Premium content. You can be a member of our channel by paying rupees 159 per month only. So here you will get some exclusive content by Dr. Gaurav Garg, daily current affairs, monthly banking awareness, monthly best 200 current affairs. By Prashant Dhawan, you'll get monthly compilation of most important geopolitics and IR issues. By Dr. Mahipal Singh Rathore, you'll get monthly 5 premium video. Other subscribers who are not the members won't be able to see this exclusive content. Now coming to the relevance of today's topic, see, it will be covered in your mains paper 2, laws, institutions and bodies constituted for the vulnerable. Objective level, you should know about the provisions of the code. Subjective level, you should know about the labor reforms in India. Now see the context. So this code, the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2019, it was actually introduced in July by Minister of Labour and Employment. So it was introduced in Lok Sabha. Now this code, this bill is open for suggestions. Now see, what is this code basically? The Occupational Health Safety Working Conditions Code 2019. So it was introduced on July 23, 2019. So this code repeals and replaces 13 labor laws which relates to your safety. There are three things: safety, health and working conditions. So these includes, for example, your Factories Act 1948, the Mines Act 1952, and third one you can say the contract labor. Okay, the contract labor, this is Regulation and Abolition Act. It was in 1970. So this code applies to the establishment employing at least 10 workers. So at least your 10 workers should be there. So to all the mine and docks, but it does not apply to apprentices. So now what is apprentices? That means the people who are trainees, who are working for a specific period, for a specific time. So it won't apply to them. Further, it makes special provisions for certain types of establishments and classes of employees, such as for factory people, mines and building and construction workers. Right. So this is the introduction of this code. Now coming to various provisions. Now we'll discuss the various provisions of the code. So first let's talk about the provision that is relevant authorities. So all establishments covered by the code must be registered. So this is the first thing, they have to get themselves registered with registering officers. Next is, further, inspector cum facilitators may inquire into accidents and conduct inspections of establishments. So second is, provision is inspection. So this is under relevant authorities. Now both these authorities are appointed by either your central government or your state government. And fourth is, additionally, the government may require certain establishments to set up safety committees. So here, if government feels that there is a need of safety committee, so it will be set up, which will represent, and this committee comprises of representatives which are both from the employer side and from the employees side, that means the workers. Now coming to the advisory bodies, the central and state governments will set up occupational safety and health advisory boards also, both at national level and at state level respectively. Now it depends as in the central government will open one at national level and state government will open one at the state levels. So these boards will advise the central and state governments on the standards, rules and regulations which are to be framed under this code. Now what are the duties of employers? So this is very important because the code specifies several duties of the employers. So these include providing that the employer has to provide a workplace that is free from hazards, right? There should not be any hazard. The place should not be prone to any hazard that may cause injury or disease, and providing free annual health examination to employees as prescribed. So second duty of employer is free annual. So in a year there should be one free annual health examination of the employees. Now, in case of any accident at the workplace that leads to death or serious bodily injury of an employee, the employer must inform the relevant authority. So once the relevant authorities are set, it is the duty of the employer, in case of any accident or serious injury which may even lead to death, he or she has to inform the relevant authorities. Now next is, what are the rights and duties as well of the employees. Now see, the duties of employees under the code include, first, they need to take care of their own health. So own health is very important. They need to take care of their own health and safety, complying with the specified safety and health standards. Then second point, what they have to do is reporting unsafe situations to the inspector. So if they find any unsafe situations, they need to report to the inspector. And for these are the duties. Now coming to the rights. So every employee will have the right to obtain from the employer information related to the safety and health standards. Like if they are going to work in some mine, so they have the right to ask the employer, like, what are the safety and the health conditions of working there. So now we'll talk about the working hours. So working hours for different classes of establishment and employees will be provided as per the rules prescribed by the central government or the state government. For overtime, like if somebody is doing overtime, but usually earlier people used to exploit the workers and laborers, but now if anybody is doing overtime, the worker must be paid twice the rate of daily wages. So it is twice the rate of daily wages. Okay. Now for female workers, there is also one thing. With their consent, they may work past 7. So even they can work after 7 and before 6 a.m. in the morning, if approved by the central government and state government. So again, it depends upon the consent of state government and central government, but obviously the consent of the female is also very important here if she is willing to work. Now talking about leave. No employee may work for more than 6 days a week. So in a week there are 7 days, so at least you have to take 1 day off. You cannot work more than 6 days in a week. However, exceptions may be provided for motor transport workers. Now workers must receive paid annual leave for at least 1 in 20 days of a period spent on duty. And for sales promotion employees, medical leave must be provided for at least 1/18th of the period of service. And during medical leave, the worker must be paid half his daily wages. So if somebody is on medical leave, half of the wages must be paid to them. Now working conditions and welfare facilities. So here the employer is required to provide a very hygienic work environment which has proper ventilation, right? Windows should be there, proper air circulation should be there, comfortable temperature. Next is comfortable temperature. It should not be either very cold or very hot. Humidity, sufficient space. This is another condition that should be there. It should not be overcrowded. Clean drinking water. This is very important, that drinking water should be there. And then your latrine and urinal accommodations, that should be there. So such working conditions and welfare facilities should be provided. So here other welfare facilities may be provided as per standards which are prescribed by the central government. And these facilities may include separate bathing places, locker rooms for the male and female employees and transgender employees. Canteens should be there. First aid boxes and creche facility should be there for the working mothers. Now coming to next provision, offences and penalties. So under this code, an offence that leads to death of an employee will be punishable with imprisonment of up to 2 years or there could be a fine of 5 lakh, or both. Okay, so further courts may direct that at least 50% of such fine be given as compensation to the heirs of the victim, and for any other violation where the penalty is not specified, the employer will be penalized with a fine between 2 and 3 lakh rupees, and if an employee violates provision of the code, he will be subject to a fine up to 10,000 rupees, right? So these are the provisions which are added. Now see, this is applicable to migrant workers too. So in order to have the wider coverage, similarly the definition of interstate migrant worker has also been proposed to the modified to include those migrant workers who are being employed directly by the employer from other states without contractor or agent. So this proposal would enhance the coverage of the safety, health and working condition provisions manifold as compared to the present scenario. So in conclusion, what we can say is that with the ultimate aim of extending the safety and healthy working conditions to all workforce of the country, the code enhances the ambit of provisions of safety, health and welfare working conditions from existing about 9 major sectors to all establishments having 10 or more employees, and it is evident that occupational safety, health and working conditions has some unique new initiatives for both workers and employers. So it is promoting safety, welfare and better working conditions of workforce by enhancing the ambit of dynamic legislation as compared to the existing sectoral approach limited to few sectors. So beside, it is also drastically rationalizing the compliance mechanism also. Thus here we can see a balance which is required between a worker and employer, and it is beneficial to both the constituents of the world of work, because both are parts of work. It's not that only you can give benefit to the employees and not the employer, or to the employer and not the employees, because both are the parts of the world of work. You have to give benefits to both if you want this balance to strike. So this is all about today's lecture. Thank you.